Have you ever felt lost? Just because your thoughts are so different, you share a deep idea, but get blank stares or a forced smile. Where does that feeling come from? It's not that you're wrong, but sometimes intelligence itself makes others uneasy. Throughout history, great minds like Socrates, Galileo, or Tesla weren't celebrated. They were mocked, pushed aside, even punished. Why? Not because they lacked talent, but because they dared to see truths society wanted buried. Arthur Schopenhauer, a philosopher with sharp honesty, called intelligence a curse. It gives you clear eyes, but also sets you apart from the crowd. Today, we'll explore together why society fears those who think deeply, and more importantly, how you can turn this curse into strength. This isn't just a story about philosophy. It's about you, about how you face the world. Are you ready to understand more about yourself and society? Stay with me, because this journey will change how you see everything. Part 1. Intelligence, curse or blessing. Picture this. You're standing before a painting, seeing details others miss, but when you point them out, they turn away. That's the life of a sharp mind. What is intelligence? A gift or a burden? Think of Socrates. He asked piercing questions, challenging a whole city to think. The result? He was forced to drink poison. Or Galileo, who dared say, "The earth orbits the sun." He was imprisoned, called a heretic. These people weren't wrong. They just saw truths too clearly, truths society wasn't ready to face. Arthur Schopenhauer, a philosopher with a razor-sharp view, called intelligence a curse. Why? Because it's like a torch, lighting every corner of the world, but also leaving you alone in the crowd. Have you ever felt that? At a party, everyone's talking about the weather or movies, but you're pondering the meaning of life. You try to fit in, but feel like you're playing a role. That isn't you. That's what Schopenhauer meant. Intelligence isn't just knowledge. It's the ability to see through the surface layers, the comfortable lies society uses to hide the truth. But what's the cost? Isolation. Smart people often feel like outsiders, not because they choose to, but because society doesn't know how to embrace them. Have you noticed? When you ask a question too deep, people go quiet or quickly change the topic. That's not random. It's a sign your intelligence is touching an invisible boundary. So is intelligence a blessing or a curse? Maybe it's both. But to understand why it makes society wary, we need to dig deeper. Stay with me. Part 2. The mirror effect, when intelligence makes others uneasy. So we've seen, intelligence can feel like a curse, but why does it make others turn away? Imagine you walk into a room, everyone's chatting happily. You share an idea, sharp, profound. Suddenly, the air shifts. Eyes avoid you. Smiles turn forced. What just happened? Psychologists call this the mirror effect. When you think deeply, you don't just bring new ideas. You unintentionally, like a mirror, reflect the limitations of those around you. And that can be uncomfortable. Have you ever noticed? When you ask a tough question, people go quiet or quickly change the subject. It's not because they hate you, but because your intelligence, like a bright light, exposes corners they don't want to see. Think about this. If someone's stronger than you might admire them. If they're richer, you might feel jealous, but you don't feel attacked. Intelligence is different. It touches the ego, the core of who we think we are. When you question someone's beliefs or point out an uncomfortable truth, It's like you're challenging their very identity. No one wants to feel lacking. So instead of curiosity, they resist. Instead of listening, they dismiss. Have you ever been in a meeting, shared a new idea, and everyone just shrugged? That's the mirror effect. Your intelligence, even unintentionally, makes others feel uneasy. They don't hate your idea. They're just protecting themselves from feeling overshadowed. But why does intelligence spark such a strong reaction? To understand that, we need to look at how the brain works. Stay with me. Part 3. The brain and the primal fear of intelligence. So we've seen, intelligence can make others uneasy. But why does a sharp idea feel like a threat? Imagine you're at a party. Someone starts asking tough questions, making everyone quiet. What do you feel? A bit uncomfortable, right? That's not random. Science has an answer. Researchers found when you face someone smarter, the amygdala in your brain, the part that senses fear, suddenly lights up. Intelligence, literally, is seen by the brain as a danger. Have you ever wondered why a deep debate makes you restless, like facing a wild animal? The answer lies in how we evolved. Thousands of years ago, our ancestors lived in small tribes. Survival depended on fitting in, being accepted by the group. Isolation meant death. Our brains were wired to avoid anything that disrupts balance. A smart person with piercing questions. What do? They're like someone holding a key, unlocking doors the group once locked. They challenge beliefs, shake the order. That triggers our survival instinct, like facing an enemy. Have you ever seen someone sidelined just for saying what no one wants to hear? That's the brain protecting the safety of the tribe. Today, we don't live in caves, but our brains still work the old way. When you share a new idea in a meeting or challenge a popular opinion, you're breaking harmony. People don't hate you. They're just reacting the way their brains learned centuries ago. So how does society turn this fear into a stronger mechanism? Stay with me. Part 4. Society's defense mechanisms, rejecting depth. So we've seen the brain views intelligence as a threat. But what does society do to push back against deep ideas? Imagine you're in a group meeting. You share a new idea, full of nuance. People look at you, then shrug, and return to familiar chatter. What's happening? Society has invisible walls built to protect comfort. Psychologists call these defense mechanisms. Instead of curiosity, people dismiss. Instead of listening, they avoid. Have you ever tried sharing a complex thought only to be interrupted by a joke or a lighter topic? That's not random. Our brain crave what's familiar, what's simple, because it's easy to digest. But deep ideas, they're like tough puzzles, requiring effort, and society often chooses the easy path. Think about social media. A funny video, a shocking quote, can rack up millions of views in hours. But a thoughtful analysis, full of reason, it often sinks. Algorithms know this. They favor emotions, controversy, over depth. Have you seen a great idea ignored because it wasn't viral enough? That's how society works. It doesn't just reject intelligence, it builds systems to celebrate shallowness. Psychologists point out we fall into thinking traps. A confident person, even if shallow, is often heard more than someone nuanced. Those who know little think they know much and easily dismiss brilliant minds. When you challenge an old belief, people don't change, they cling tighter. Have you ever felt isolated just for daring to think differently? That's society, guarding the status quo, resisting change. But If intelligence is rejected like this, why does history still have minds that change the world? Stay with me. Part 5. History and the rejected minds. So we've seen society builds walls to reject depth. But if intelligence is so feared, why does history still have minds that change the world? Imagine you're living in Socrates' time. He roams the city, asking questions, making people uneasy. He wanted us to think, not just blindly believe. The result, he was sentenced to death, labeled a corrupter of youth. His real crime? Daring to challenge old beliefs. Or think of Galileo, who gazed at the sky, proving Earth orbits the sun. He was locked away, silenced. His ideas, like a light, too bright for his era. Have you ever felt people turn away when you share something new? That's what these great minds faced. Look at Nikola Tesla. He dreamed of free energy, a wireless future, but powerful people saw him as a threat. Tesla died alone, in a small room, forgotten. Or Hypatia, a female philosopher in ancient Rome. She taught logic and science, but was killed by a fanatical mob. Why? Because she dared to think differently. These people weren't celebrated. In their time, they were mocked, sidelined. Yet you know what? Their ideas, like seeds, took root and changed how we live. Socrates laid the groundwork for philosophy. Galileo paved the way for modern science. Tesla gave us electricity. Hypatia inspired equality. Have you ever felt misunderstood because your thoughts were too unfamiliar? Remember, you're walking the path of these greats. They were shunned because they saw the future before it arrived. Society doesn't hate intelligence. It fears the change intelligence brings. But those rejected minds pushed humanity forward. So how do we, deep thinkers, overcome this isolation? Stay with me. Part 6. What to do when you're a deep thinker. So we've seen great minds were shunned for being ahead of their time. But if you're a deep thinker, what do? Imagine you're sitting alone, your mind buzzing with ideas, but feeling out of place. Does that mean you're wrong? Number. It means you're special. Arthur Schopenhauer, with his razor-sharp insight, said intelligence is a double-edged sword. It brings pain, but also power. So how do you turn it into an advantage? First, embrace solitude. Schopenhauer called it a privilege, not a punishment. When you're alone, you have space to think, to create, to dive into questions the crowd avoids. Have you ever found a brilliant idea with just you and a cup of coffee? That's the power of solitude. Second, find kindred spirits. You don't need the whole world to understand you, just a few souls on your wavelength. They might be in books, online forums, or a small group of friends. Think of those times you talked with someone and felt like the universe opened up. That's where you belong. Third, communicate wisely. Einstein once said, if you can't explain it simply, you don't understand it well enough. Your ideas, like precious gems, need polishing to shine. Have you ever seen someone change their mind because you explained in a clear way? That's an art. Don't try to overwhelm people. Guide them, step by step. Intelligence can make you feel like an outsider, but it's also the key to freedom. When you understand deeply, you're not bound by outdated beliefs. You see the world as it is, not as others want you to see it. Have you ever felt, even in loneliness, you're freer than those chasing the crowd? That's the gift of intellect. So keep going. People like you don't just think, they change the world. Now how do we bring these lessons into our lives? Stay with me. So we've explored together why society shies away from deep-thinking minds. Intelligence, like a flame, illuminates truth, but also startles others. Society doesn't fear your intelligence. It fears what you reveal, the hidden corners people want to keep buried. Have you ever felt like Socrates or Tesla, out of place, for seeing what others don't? Don't worry, you're not alone. The greatest minds in history were misunderstood too, pushed to the edges, but they lit torches, guiding humanity forward. You, with your intellect, are part of that story. Every profound idea, every bold question, is a step forward for the world. So keep thinking, keep questioning, even when you feel like you're swimming upstream. You don't need the whole world to agree. Just stay steady, and the right people will find you. Have you ever been rejected for thinking too differently? Share your story in the comments below. I want to hear it, and I know there are others out there waiting to connect with you. If this video made you think, hit the like button, share it with friends to spread deep ideas further, and don't forget to subscribe, because we'll dive even more into history's greatest minds. As Schopenhauer once said, the higher the intellect, the lonelier you are, but in that loneliness, you find freedom. Thank you for being here. See you in the next video.